My name's Ian Howarth. I'm here with Cath Norman, the Managing Director of FAR Limited, to talk about the exploration results, specifically from the latest well offshore Senegal, the SNE-5 well. Cath, the SNE-5 appraisal well has been highly successful, which is the 7th successful well in a row on the SNE field. How will this result help increase the size of the field?
Yeah, it's been a remarkable achievement, drilling 7 successful wells on the Hop, and we certainly don't take that for granted. It's an absolutely wonderful project, and I think it is testimony to the project that we have had such success, actually. SNE-5 was always a very important well for us. Number one, it is setting up the interference test to allow us to measure the connectivity amongst these shallower upper reservoirs, thinner upper reservoirs in the field. But on its own, SNE-5 was important. And for 2 reasons. Firstly, so that we could understand the upper reservoirs a little more, and as a result we flow tested one reservoir that we hadn't seen in the oil leg before, and it's called the S460. And the S460 actually came in a lot stronger than we'd had expected in terms of flow, and also the reservoir properties that we measured were much better than we expected. Now, the implication for that is broad. Number one, it allows us to get more confidence in increasing our recovery factor for that particular unit, and hence we expect an upgrade to the contingent resource estimates for SNE. But more importantly, in some ways, is it's allowed us to get a lot more confidence in the fact that the SNE field, we believe now, is a lot larger than we've originally mapped. And if you mapped the lowest closing contour of the S460 in oil, you can see that it encompasses the Sirius and the Speaker prospects that we haven't drilled yet. So it does appear as though SNE is a lot larger than we had originally mapped. Fantastic result, and even better is that we finished the drilling 21 days ahead of schedule.
That's a wonderful drilling performance. How will that affect or enhance the drilling program going forward?
Yeah, so as a result of being 21 days ahead, we have now been able to squeeze in an interim well, the VR1 well that we've announced, which we've now spudded, for a minimal additional cost to the joint venture. And in fact, the net cost to FAR is between 2 and 3 million Australian dollars. As you well know, we reported at the end of December that we had $47 million in cash at the end of the quarter, and we were forecasting to spend about 25 to 27 on SNE-5 and 6. So really this is a small incremental cost there, and we're well covered for the cost of the drilling program to date.
So Cath, FAR has now included the VR1 well into the drilling program. Can you give us a bit more and explain the rationale behind the thinking there, and why this well is now going to be drilled ahead of SNE-6?
So the VR1 well is now in the schedule between SNE-5 and 6, as you've said. The interest in the VR1 well is primarily in testing or drilling through these lower reservoir units, our 500 series, out to the west of the SNE field. When we collected our new 3D seismic data in 2015 and reprocessed all of the existing data and integrated the new data, we realised that the deeper sediments are probably shallower than we had originally anticipated out on the west of the field. And what that means is we've pulled a lot of those really nice looking 500 series reservoirs up into the oil column. Now, why that is significant is, at this time in particular, is that as we progress towards development of the SNE field, it's really important that we understand how many barrels we're going to take through to that phase 1 development. And the S500 reservoirs, the deep ones, are the ones that we're primarily focused on in that first phase of development. We think that there's potential to add significantly to our 1C assessment of the SNE field resources as we head into development, if we understand those 500 series reservoirs. A secondary objective is to drill deeper into a deeper Aptian carbonate play. Now, we did test this play when we drilled the SNE-1 discovery well, and we found some evidence of hydrocarbons, but they were residual. But we didn't see the existence of another seal, and hence not another petroleum system existing beneath SNE-1. We think there could be evidence for a seal. It carries quite a bit of risk and hence it's a secondary objective. But whilst we're out there spending money in the upper sediments, the incremental cost of deepening the well to take a look at these deeper carbonate plays is not prohibitive.
So based on our exploration and appraisal drilling to date, the SNE field is looking very promising for a commercial development. When will the joint venture make a final investment decision to go commercial?
We're now in a program where we will have drilled 3 new appraisal wells on the SNE field, SNE5, the VR1 well and SNE6. At the conclusion of those 3 wells, we should have most of the information that we need to make a decision to progress with the development of the SNE field. The next stage after getting the connectivity data from SNE6 is to go through concept select phase, and what that means is we finalise the development concept at joint venture level, and that enables us to then start the FEED process, which is the front-end engineering and design process. And that takes about 9 months, and then we will be in a position to submit the development plan to the government for approval. So what's really important about the concept select stage is that we'll also be able to, at the end of that, take our contingent resources and convert them into reserves, which should add significant value to FAR. At the end of submitting the development plan to the government, there's a period in which the government needs to assess the development plan, and then we'll head into the final investment decision early in 2019.
So outside of the SNE field and discovery, what are FAR's plans beyond that in terms of additional exploration and looking at some of the other highly prospective areas offshore Senegal?
Well, as we know, we've drilled 2 discovery wells into 2 prospects and made 2 fantastic discoveries, and our focus has really been on the SNE field and getting it to development. But we know that from drilling Fan 1, where we intersected 500 metres of oil in that well, that there's a good chance that there's going to be more oil trapped up dip from that Fan well, and indeed down in the basin in that particular Fan prospect and potentially in other Fan prospects. So inside the joint venture, we will probably drill a minimum of 1 additional well on the back of this 3-well committed program that we have now to appraise SNE, and that will be an exploration well. We haven't decided where that will be yet, and that decision will be coming in the next few weeks. But outside what we're doing in the Rufisque-Sangomar joint venture, FAR has, of course, focused on that northwest corner of Africa as being our strategic area of focus for the future. And we are looking at other opportunities in and around Senegal, particularly using the knowledge that we have from the discoveries we've made in Senegal and extrapolating that into neighbouring acreage. So we look forward to bringing some good new ideas and good new projects onto the portfolio in the coming months.